For this lab, we're going to create a 1, 2, and 3 tier application that accesses data. For this lab, we'll access data in a file that contains telephone numbers to keep it simple. Later on, we'll be using a database. For the 1 tier application, which is what we will cover in this video, we will be using a Windows desktop application. We'd like to use a web application. However, you can't have a 1 tier in web application that accesses data. Web application is a minimum of 2-tier client server. I've opened Visual Studio and let's go to create new project. Windows format C#. Let's not choose the Visual Basic one and click next. I'm going to call this 1 tier phone. Saving it in my folder that I've created for Visual Studio programs and clicking on next. Okay, it took a bit for the form designer to get prepared, but it is now opened. And here is my form. I'm going to resize it immediately. To the right, you're going to see Solution Explorer. Now, Solution Explorer will create a folder that contains all the files and classes that you need for your application. This is very much like a Java package. In Visual Studio, it's called a solution. To the left, you're going to see the toolbox. If you don't see it, click on the View menu, and you can open each of these panels or windows. So select Common Windows Form, and we're going to drag a label. We're going to drag a masked text box, and we're going to drag a button onto our form. Let's rename the text in the label. So to my lower right is the Properties window. If you don't have it, again, look in the View menu, and I'm going to write Enter Phone. Now I'm on the masked text box, and the reason I chose masked text box is that it can write some automatic validation for you. I want the input to look like a phone number. If you see, as I click on the masked text box, there's this tiny arrow here. Click on that arrow and click on Set Mask. You will see some default or commonly used masks already listed. Of course, you can create your own mask. I'm going to rename this text box. Over here in Properties, I've neglected to mention that you can change the view or the sort order of your properties. You can do it by categories or A to Z order. I have been doing Visual Studio for a long time, so I use A to Z order. There's no text for this, but I want to, since we're going to be referencing this object in our source code, I don't want to use the default name. So I'm going to call this Phone Masked Text Box. Let's now go to our button. I'm going to call this the Submit button. This is the name property. And then let's scroll down to the text property. The text property is what the user sees, and I want them to see the word Submit. We also have a form that's defaulting to Form 1 for the text, and I'll just call it Phone Form. Now I'm going to double click on the Submit button, and what's going to happen is the default event handler will be created. And notice the name of my button and the word click. So this is my default event handler. First, let's create our text file. So I'm going to go to File, New, File. It'll be a text file. And I have a file generic name right now, but I'm going to save it, and it's going to give me a prompt to save it. So I will call it phone.txt. It's being saved in my project folder. Now I'd like to know, nothing's in it, it's open. And you'll see it over here. Here it is in Solution Explorer. Collapse some of this. But phone.txt, there's nothing in it now. Let's come back over to our source code and let's create 2 string variables. And one will store the phone that's entered in the text box, and one will store the path to the file. These green squiggly lines just mean that we haven't put any data into the phone yet or onto the path yet. I'm going to come over and notice there's a copy full path. If I right mouse click on that file, that's very nice because now I can assign a value to the path, and I'm going to change it in a minute. just by copying and pasting it. One thing that is you will see are the red squiggly lines by the slashes. So you may remember how to make an escape character. You use a backslash and another character, to make a new line or something like that. So that's why we're seeing this squiggly line. In C#, if you put an @ symbol in front of it, it means that don't consider these to be part of the escape sequence or escape character. Consider these backslashes to be part of the string. Notice the red squiggly lines go away. So now I have a value for the path. Let's assign a value for the phone. You notice how the IntelliSense is just bringing all this up for me. And even if I hit tab, I don't even have to type equal to sign. It's suggesting for me values. So the name of my text box was phone mask text box. Now that's not going to be enough. And C# is even helping me out here. The mask text box is an object with lots of properties. If you want to access what the user had keyed in, click on the dot. There's the text property. It's even giving me the semicolon automatically. That's wonderful. So we're going to be using the StreamWriter object, and it tries to fill in quite a bit of this for me. However, I do not want it instantiated in this manner. I'm going to use the file object and do the append text. So using StreamWriter, we're going to append text to the file in this path. Append means we're adding text, so if there's already text in there, it's not going to overwrite it. That's exactly what I want to do right there. Now I'm going to, after this has happened, the phone is not null, I'm going to clear out that mask text box by setting the text property to the empty string. If you want to, you can do an else clause. We're not going to write this for demonstration purposes. This is what we need. Let's test it. And I'll hit submit. Let's put another phone number in there. Submit. We'll close that out. And let's take a look at our phone.txt. And I tested it previously, so all three numbers are there. And that is an example of our one-tier program.